with this, I'm happy to welcome a visionary leader who has been instrumental in shaping iSprout's journey. Mr. Srini Tirdala, co-founder and Chief Strategy Officer at iSprout. With over 15 years of experience in investment banking technology, he has worked with prominent institutions such as Citibank, ADP, and Bank of America, with entrepreneur ventures spanning technology, food, education, and real estate sectors over the past decade. Mr. Srini's insights are always compelling and deeply strategic, and I would like to welcome Mr. Srini on stage. Mr. Srini, the stage is all yours. Thank you.
I don't know all about that, but we achieved something today evening. Monday evening, all top leaders from GCC ecosystem, our meeting started exactly at 7 o'clock, the event, which is very rare. It's Indian Standard Time, not Hyderabad Standard Time. Give a big applause to everybody. Thank you. India, we are at a pivotal moment where there is a transformation is happening. When I joined City Corp in 2002, it was called Captive, Cost Center. But it took almost 20 years to shed the tag. We are still, not fully got rid of that cost center tag, but we are moving towards innovative hubs, and we are becoming a nerve center of most of the tech giants. While we are excited about the opportunity, we also need to approach this with little care and responsibility. And who else can, tell us how to be careful and be responsible? The two legends here who really dictated the roadmap of IT revolution for the last 30 to 50 years, and they're still influencing the future. Let me welcome Chris Gopalakrishnan sir. Padma Bhushan Senapati Chris Gopalakrishnan sir, co-founder of Infosys and visionary in deep tech and innovations. He is currently the chairman for Council of the Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore, chairman Board of Governors, Indian Institute of Information Technology, Bangalore, among many more positions he holds. He stands out for his philanthropic funding of 750 crore in brain research through Pratiksha Trust, supporting institutions IISc and IIT Madras. Please, sir, please come on to the dais. It's really an honor for us to have you here. We have one more person here. When he started GCC, I didn't start my schooling yet. Okay, almost 45 years back, sir. I think 45 years back. So I was born then. Sri Shakti Sagar sir, please come on to the dais. Shakti Sagar sir started traveling with Intergraph, then Deisha, then ADP. Anybody who doesn't know these companies? There's no one, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Please come. We'll get some insights from both of them. Hello. Sir, it's really honored to have you both here. And my first job started with Shakti Sagar sir's, it was Wilco at that time, now became ADP. Thank you for that opportunity, sir. That's where I started and ended here. I hope you are proud of me.
I want to ensure my dinner, so I am very proud of you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I have a first question to you, sir. We're all excited about GCC. I know GCCs are around for last 30, 40 years. But we feel that there is a momentum here, and we saw all the big $1 billion companies coming and setting up, but we see a lot of influx of mid-level GCCs. What do you think about that for next decade? How should we position ourselves in that journey?
So first of all, thank you for inviting me. Let me compliment Sundari, you, Srini, all the iSprout people for organizing something like this. More importantly, of course, the success of iSprout, the GCC Express. So congratulations and thank you for inviting me. Now to answer your question, see the journey over the last, so Infosys was started in 81, right? So last 44 years is of continuous evolution, continuous innovation, continuous change, and every aspect of the business has changed and the industry has continuously reinvented itself. GCCs must do the same because the requirements will change, this, the size, the scope of work. So, Karthik presented light asset light models. So, lot of changes will happen in this industry because the industry itself is very dynamic and has to change very rapidly. Right now, of course, AI is again creating significant changes. So GCCs will have to continuously adopt. India is the default location for this. Karthik presented all other locations, but everybody has been talking about other locations from 1980 onwards. But India is the fastest growing location for IT services. No other country has scaled up to what India has scaled up to. And that's because of the population, the focus on STEM education, that's the culture that we have. So, I'm very confident in saying that India will continue to be the default location. India, as long as we innovate, look for new ways of delivering value to our customers, this will continue. But smaller and smaller companies, if they want to use these services, we have to create the model that is attractive to them. So for example, the co-working spaces, right? It became very attractive for smaller companies to come because it's asset light, they didn't have to invest upfront, they don't have to plan upfront. And then if you start helping them with recruitment, if you start helping with managing the services, if you put that together as a package, clearly more and more small companies will come. So as long as you create the right model to attract companies, I think GCCs will work. You have to ensure that with every new model, there are positives and there are negatives. So for example, if you make it easy for companies to come in, it's also easy for them to exit, right? So you need to make sure that you understand the model very well and you take care of the benefits which will attract business, but you also understand the risk. And I'm very confident that these numbers will surely be achieved. No doubt in my mind. The 100 billion plus, right? It will be achieved because, for example, right now, US is tightening the visas, right? What happens? Work in India will increase, right? That's the, for them, unintended consequences. For us, it's a benefit for us.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you are in GCC world for last 40 plus years. What is your take on it? Is it something different now, or we are just having a buzzword of GCC, little too much?
Yeah, first and foremost, thanks for inviting me. I just want to correct you because you said 45 years in GCC. They'll think I'm an old man. So it's not 45 years. Let me clarify. I'm still a young person. It's just that I have a little bit of gray hair. So iSprout, thanks for inviting me. It's been Great presentation by Karthik. I think if you look at it through the experience, I've been fortunate enough to have had the opportunity and privilege of setting up the first GCC, which is the name now, in 1987. That was the first GCC in Hyderabad, which she talked about. You know, at that stage, it was more of, we talked about captive was the word. Then the captive word, after a lot of change and persuasion, became GIC, which was really a global in-house center. Then after transformation happened, GIC name got changed as Global International Center. Today we are at that inflection point, and I believe that name will change, and we will now be GILT, GILT, to our principles, which to me translates to being the global innovation leveraging trendsetters. Because that's the ecosystem that has been created over a period of time. So that's where I think the change will happen in all those aspects. And what Karthik presented, what Sir said, that's the journey we're going to take. And it'll become now the GICs, GCCs will all go. The capability centers will become global innovation leveraging trendsetters. And that's what the India opportunity will be.
Sir, we just named our company GCC Express. Should we change our name? Thank you, sir. Sir, while we are talking about the opportunity, are we grooming our leaders to be GCC global leaders? Is there any gap you see?
So, you see, there are always gaps in multiple dimensions, but what we have been able to do is, overcome those quicker than anybody else, because our talent is typically very young and they are trainable. They adapt very quickly. It's aspirational for them. So they change very quickly. So gaps are always there. So right now, for example, the asset light model, the ability to set up something very quickly, all of those things are requirements today. Simultaneously, you have to plan for impact of AI. Also, you have to do the knowledge transfer, getting up to speed very quickly. All of those things have to be done, because, and when you work with smaller size companies, the other challenge is they do not have the ability to manage vendors, so suppliers or outsourcing partners, because they can't afford to have a large organization to manage these things. They can't make a lot of trips to India and things like that. So you have to figure out how to bridge those gaps. But what I have seen in my years with this industry, I know actually last 10 years I don't actually work with this industry anymore, but I have seen that how people learn on the fly, and they do a much better job than people with lot more experience. So because the changes are constant, I think we have learned to adapt very fast and learn and do the job. So I'm confident about that.
Thank you, sir. Sir, Shakti sir, we are still struggling to shed that cost center tag. Is it something in our minds? Do we need to change something, any factor to be changed in our mindset to come out of that tag?
Like Karthik said, that will be in the subconscious mind of our principals. But today, we shouldn't worry about that. Because at the end of it, we're not cheap coolies, which was what was earlier told in the Western world. They called us as cheap coolies. But I think over a period of time, the way we've demonstrated, we're no longer cheap coolies. We are the innovators. And that's why when I talked about the future being guilt. And that's, you know what guilt means, is that gold plating for the principals. And that's where I think things will change. The innovation, the ecosystem that we have created today is going to make a big difference. Over the 4 decades, we've really established the basic foundations which will help us to leapfrog. I think we are far ahead compared to any other country which is in the same mold. And we will certainly strive from that. So the cost thing will remain. But again, I don't think, like NASSCOM never compares the growth with the cost. They look at the basics and then look at what the growth is. So let's leave that alone. You can correct me, sir.
Yeah, I just want to add something here. You know, a company will maybe look at India for cost to start with. See, when you send job, 10.5 hours away, several time zones away to a different country, you need to justify internally much more than, outsourcing locally. They don't understand. If you're new to this, they definitely do not understand. They think it's quite risky. So you need to, bring in the element of cost. But they stay because of quality. They stay because of the success. And I can tell you that, you talked about GCC 1987. Think about that. That's 40 years. And whoever has come to India, very, very, very few have left, gone back. They've got stuck to India, right? So it can't be cost anymore. In fact, it is, I think, our mindset which says that it's cost. Because I can tell you, every single one of those companies are making, everyone is making more money than an equivalent company in, let's say, US or Europe. If you look at the profit margins of Indian companies, far superior than US companies or European companies, right? Percentage, operating margin, profit after tax, every one of those parameters, Indian companies are superior. So I feel that we are charging what is appropriate to be charged. The cost advantage comes because we are a lower cost economy. Our per capita income is $2,800. US, it's about $40,000. We'll definitely be cheaper. There is no need to be apologetic about it. Take full advantage of it, right? But don't compete with cost. That's all I will tell you. That mindset has to change and say that we are charging you what is appropriate and we are making good money. Do not be apologetic about it.
So if you look at the journey itself, since I've been since 87, initially started as a cost center, then subsequently became a support center, then became a critical support center, then an incremental value addition, a full-fledged value addition. Today it's an innovation center. And so you see, and there's no question of
probably own a lot of business processes here in India.
Absolutely. And you actually do a lot of innovation, improving the process. So today, I think the GCCs add on the top line as well as the bottom line of the principals. So therefore, the cost factor is no longer anywhere in the picture.
So basically, it's cheaper for US, but it's still premium for us. We are making better.
See that, forget about the cost.
Yeah, right.
Please eradicate it,
so
change your RAM,
we are banning that cost word from GCC ecosystem. Sir, after Infosys, you're working a lot with academia and policy think tanks. Is there anything to be institutionalized to fill the gap between education institutes, the GCCs, and the government, policy-wise?
See, on the policy side, I firmly believe that India must continue to promote GCCs, promote IT services, make sure that we take advantage, full advantage of the strengths that we have. The strength is, we have the talent. We know this business better than anybody else. Better than anybody else, actually. It's become a $260 billion industry going to be $300 billion industry. So government must continue to support this industry, promote the industry. I would like to see states competing to grow this industry in those states. Second, we must continue to innovate. So one of the things I wanted to actually talk about today was, asset light model, can you take it much further? So can you actually provision a GCC in 48 hours? Can you actually go up and down? So I take 100 seats, but I need 100 seats, which is variable. So I should be able to go up and down if possible. Can I, with one infrastructure provider, see all the different seats that are available across the country so that I can decide where I want to grow? Can I provision it on a project basis, true variable cost? I start a project in the US, I actually immediately think about starting in Hyderabad, 15 seats, right? So can I do that? Now, can I do that across infrastructure? So I need to see in one app, for example, all the seats that are available in the GCC format in Hyderabad. So I can pick it up from anybody I want. Right? We do that in hotels, right? I want to come to Hyderabad, I can look at 15 hotels and decide which hotel I want to take. Can you think about that in the GCC ecosystem? So there is an app to be developed here. So we have to push the envelope on innovation in anything that we do. If you do that, we cannot be, complacent. We have to be paranoid. We have to be innovating continuously. We have to look at how can we add value to our clients more and more so that they keep coming back and back and back and new customers keep coming. And lastly, when it comes to academia, academia has never figured this out. That is the reason why we are skill academia, skilling courses and things like that, and initiatives on skilling, skill academies being created, and that will also continue. But it's also the responsibility of the company, of the individual, and government again innovating on skilling also, right? So for example, 5 million people in the industry today, how can we train 5 million people to use AI? That's required. That's required for India to be competitive. That's required for these people to not get replaced by AI. Right? New jobs are going to be created. So these are things that we need to continuously think about. I told, of course, if I can mention Bangalore for a minute, let me do that. So the government was worried. So they called for a meeting. I hope media is not here and they're not going to start reporting about this. But anyway, they called for a meeting to understand what is the impact of AI. And I said, why don't you take the top 20 employees in the city and go and meet them and ask them, what is your recruitment plan for the next 3 years? So with data, we can find out what is the impact of AI rather than trying to guess these things, and then take appropriate action based on that. These changes will take some time. It won't happen overnight. So you will have time to react. So we can do these things. And the last point I want to make is, see, I like the term ecosystem. GCC Ecosystem Leaders Conclave. All of us need to work together to create an ecosystem. It's not one company. And all the players within that. And I heard that the legal companies are there, the training companies are, skilling companies are there, academic institutions are there, infrastructure providers are there, developers are there, and of course the existing GCCs, the IT services. All of us need to work together as an ecosystem to develop this ecosystem. If IT services industry is where it is today because we decided to work together. As we built our company, we also built the industry. Every one of us has a role to play in building an industry. Right? And in fact, you should think about industry first, your company after, or industry, city, your company. Right? Hyderabad has to become an ecosystem, All of us need to work together to make that happen. And then within that, we need to think about our company. So that's how I see. And if we do that, I feel that this $100 billion will be exceeded.
Thank you, sir. Sir, what's your opinion on the huge gap between educational institutes and the GCCs or any IT companies?
I think the gap is really, this is working? Yeah. I think the gap is because the academia, did you not pay for it?
Can you hear? Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Okay. I think just because I said they're going to change the name, he said shut his mic off. That's what. See there. Okay, you keep your name as it is. Don't change it to guild. I think there's a big gap. Unfortunately, the academia has not really accelerated the knowledge within their faculty towards the new technology that's coming. On the other hand, the industry has not helped. What do we do as an industry? We'll go there, give a lecture for 45 minutes and come out. I think the need of the hour is, as an industry, can we depute one of our senior leaders on the new technology and take a whole semester on that? Then only can we build the gap. Otherwise, the gap will remain. Or invite the faculty across to our industry, to our organizations, and let them see what the real life situation is. What are the case studies? What are the challenges? And then be able to work together towards making that. Because until we upskill, upgrade our whole technology platforms along with the academia and the industry, it's going to be a challenge.
So I'm going to give a different perspective here. The speed of change is actually very, very rapid. And the speed of change, so each of these sectors operate at different speeds. Curriculum changes in academia happens probably once a year, if at all. Typically it happens in 2-3 years. Curriculum changes. Okay, a human being can actually pick up something over time, maybe 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, etc. Look at how AI is evolving. New generation of AI is coming out every other week. Okay, new tools are happening every other week. So we have to gear up for that. So, previously in industry, the training used to happen once a year. Now it is actually probably every 2 weeks. We'll have to, probably train them on new tools and things like that. So the speed of change, in these different sectors are at different speeds. Academia changes very slowly. You have to you have to change the curriculum, you have to train the teachers will have to create their lecture notes, they have to create their PowerPoint presentations. All of those things will take time. And the academic ecosystem is based on exams. You can't change the exams because new AI tool has been introduced and things like that. New principles have been introduced. So we have to realize that in today's world, there is a responsibility on individuals, there is a responsibility on the companies to continuously train. So learn and do is become very, very rapid today. That cycle is very rapid. And it's going to be rapid because machines are evolving at a pace at which humans cannot evolve. We cannot learn at that pace. This is going to be a challenge, and this is something that we have to figure out how to make it happen. And that's one of the reasons why AI will take over. Because the speed at which it evolves, human beings cannot keep up. You saw that, right? Now the new paradigm for coding is you tell the system in natural language, you speak to the system. Create me a system which create me a website which has the following characteristics, and 5 minutes later the website is created. I speak to the system in English language and it's created. So, so you have to now adapt to that speed. You have to learn to use those techniques. And if you are not, then you are going to be behind. And where will the academic institute be in this game? Right? So they teach principles, they teach learnability, they teach teamwork, they teach commitments. So these are the soft skills that are necessary today to work in industry. The tools that you use going to change now every 48 hours or every 4 weeks or every 6 weeks, etc.
Right. So there's a bigger challenge ahead for us.
Yes and no. It's actually going to be easier also, right? Because you just use the tools.
You don't have to go to the institute. Just use the tools.
Yeah. So this is little tricky thing. Do you see GCCs as a threat to the IT services companies?
I don't think it's a threat. Initially, in the few years back, there was a, GCCs versus the IT. But I think soon one realized that it's got to be a partnership model because nobody has all the skills. You've got to really focus on what's your strengths and what somebody else's strengths. Just like a marriage. How do you make marriage successful? Each one has their own strengths and you work together. Similarly, I think today it's more of a partnership model than anything else. Work together. So I don't see that as a conflict any longer. It was probably there 10 years back, but today it has to be worked in partnership.
See, the role played by outsourcing IT services companies is very different from GCCs. And Karthik didn't go deeper into this, but GCCs are there because it's easier to tell your company that I'm creating a branch, a subsidiary in India. These are my employees, and I'm going to move the work there. So, the issue of IP protection, the issue of security, doesn't become that big an issue. Now, what IT services company provide is the knowledge of that industry, because each of these companies, for example, in the banking industry, would have worked with 10 different banks. So you get the knowledge of how the industry works, what are the best practices, etc. So the benefits and they take complete ownership, right? So the benefits of outsourcing and the benefit of GCCs are kind of, I would say, orthogonal. The common element may be cost or access to talent, but the benefits are different. And that's why in any mature ecosystem, you will find both coexist. Now, which will grow faster will depend on, it's a snapshot in time. You will find that certain periods of time, GCCs will grow faster. For right now, for example, the GCCs are growing faster because, there is lack of visas and things like that, and companies are very quickly starting to ramp up the GCC model. Outsourcing, you'll have to work the contracts. Outsourcing is typically for larger companies, multi-year deal, all that stuff. So very different. It's very, and I believe that both will continue to grow, and they are growing. See, last 40 years data shows that GCCs were growing, IT services industry was also growing. It's not one taking from other.
So when mid-level GCCs are coming, generally that will eat away IT services thing, right? Don't you? I mean, I understand the bigger GCCs, but the mid-level GCCs.
I don't know. I don't think so, because see, for the IT services company, the global 1,000 Fortune 500 companies are their clients. I don't have data about Infosys today, but 10 years back I can tell you that if at that point Infosys probably had 1,200 clients. Okay, revenue was about $6-7 billion. 80% of the revenue would come from about 100 clients. Highly concentrated business. Highly concentrated. Every one of them had their own capability center in India also, and both were growing. So, I think what I would advise you is understand how to serve these clients, these requirements, create solutions, and be the best, right, in doing that. It cannot be that, you have a temporary advantage. That will never work. Right. You have to have permanent advantages. You have to create permanently, permanent solutions. You have to continuously innovate, and you have to make sure that your customers are happy. This is a very sticky business. And if you make sure that the customers are served well, you will continue to grow. And that's what this large IT services companies have become very good at. Repeat business is 98%. In very few industries you can say repeat business is 98%.
Yeah, thank you, sir. How can GCC leaders navigate the dual pressure of delivering global mandates while also fostering local innovation?
I've got a term for this. I call it case and creating vices. The case really is, the C stands for, in terms of creating vibrancy in the organization. The V is the vibrancy on the vice. Then the A is accelerating innovation. The A of the case, CA, and the I of vice, which is innovation. Then the S is creating a stress-free culture, which is again the C and the V. And the last one, which is both E's, is enriching experiences. To me, once you create the vice and you create a case for vices, that's how you will progress and be a successful organization, a GCC or a IT service.
Thank you, sir. Chris, sir, given your philanthropic funding in brain sciences and investments in future tech, what skills do you believe will define the next decade of GCC talent, other than AI?
So the new opportunity, I believe, is every industry will go through disruption. So for example, the design work that's required even in building construction, designing a missile, designing a chip, all of those things are already being done in India, right? Now, this is only limited, the new thing is R&D, new drug molecules and new, cure for cancer. So I feel that anything that can be done using machines, using tools, tools on the machine, can be delivered from a GCC. Manufacturing, now then it comes to manufacturing or serving customers, that is customers, right? Some of that also is now being done in the GCCs actually. So it's only left to our imagination, that's why I feel that even if we reach $100 billion or the industry becomes, let's say, $350 billion, this whole India-based service has become $350 billion, this industry is probably multi-trillion dollars. Right? Our share of this is probably 15% or something like that. I think Karthik will have an exact number on that. So we have a lot of headroom to grow. So it's left to us to figure out how do we grow, and left to us to orchestrate the ecosystem. It cannot be done by one company. One company can do it, but you will be limited in terms of the growth. If we want to maximize this, we have to think about how as an ecosystem, how as an industry, we take full benefit of this headroom for growth from, let's say, 15% to can we go to 50%? That will take this $350–400 billion to maybe $2 trillion. So how can we get there is the question. Of course, geopolitics will play a role there. All kinds of other challenges will come in, and we have to figure it out.
Just to add, I think we've got to move away from us and they to we. The moment we look at it as we, then we're talking of the victory sign, which is what will propel us to get to this 2 trillion and things like that. We've got to change that mindset, to erase that thought process, which was there 20 years back.
Thank you, sir. Sir, your advice to someone who is setting up GCC today?
I think today the opportunities and the speed, Arthik talked about it, is immense. You can really get going in 5 days. The government is helping, the infrastructure is there, and organizations like iSprout and others can really get going. I think the key is, and the biggest challenge is, understanding and respecting the cultural nuances across the board, and really putting that into a quick, on your dashboard, on your blueprint, and acting there. On the infrastructure, I think there's no real issue. You've got to be careful on what you are really trying to achieve. No shortcuts. There's nothing like shortcuts, because you don't need to take shortcuts. You need to be firm. You need to have a clear understanding. What is it that you're trying to achieve? And how are you going to achieve? What is your plan? Have you got your ducks in the row? Have you figured out all the talents? And things will work completely. Earlier, it used to take a lot of time. I'll talk about our deal in 87 when we started Intergraph. To get anything, let's say to import a computer system, would take us 6 months. And in those days, there was no STP. It was all EOU. So just imagine the struggle we used to have to just import a spool or an 8-inch floppy. We had to go to Central Excise to get a certificate from them to say there's enough space in our facilities to house that item. Today, that is all gone. There's nothing of that sort. Everything is available. So focus on what your key objectives is. What is it that you really want to do, and then get going.
Thank you, sir. Chris, sir, I'm going to put you on spot here. All the ducks are in row. All the ecosystem stakeholders are here. If we all work together, do you think we can cross Bangalore in next 5 years?
Bangalore is not standing still, no. So, see, I don't think we need to think of that way. Again, I see in a year, maybe one city will grow faster or another city, but the headroom is significant, right? If we take this industry from today, NASSCOM estimate is, I think, $280 billion or $300 billion, right? If we can take it to $500 billion, $500 billion, $500 billion, or $1 trillion, there's room for everybody to grow. And that's why I still come back to creating an industry and working together to take full advantage of this. In the 90s, when this industry was so small, 91, of course, the Indian economy opened up. 93, every major company in the IT industry came to India. Oracle, Microsoft, IBM, everybody came back to India. And some people said, this is the death of the IT services industry. Right? We have come a long way because we worked together to create that industry. NASSCOM was created. We worked together to influence government policy. We worked together to look at ease of doing business. Even today, as an industry body, NASSCOM is the most consulted industry body. Government, when it does anything in IT, will talk to NASSCOM first, right? So this is an example truly of everybody working together to maximize the potential. I think that's what we need to think about. Actually, you need to think about how Bangalore and Hyderabad can work together rather than saying we are going to compete. As we will compete. As companies also will compete. But, is there anything that we can do so that we can both grow faster? I look at it that way. And that's why I'm working with everybody. Right? Whatever I can do to help this industry grow, I will try and do. And that's what I would like us to think about. Of course, we have to grow our company, we have to grow ourselves, but together we have to also, take from 15% to 20% to 25%. So if there is a challenge in Bangalore, maybe Hyderabad should grow, or Pune should grow, or Coimbatore should grow, I don't know. Right? We should take advantage of the opportunity that is in front of us. That's how I look at it.
In fact, just to add, NASSCOM used to earlier be just the body of that. Then realizing the role that GCCs played, introduced a GCC council, which worked together, which again, as an industry body, I think really worked as helping the GCCs, the challenges that we faced. And I think that's another clear example. When we work together, it's the five fingers getting into a fist, can face any challenge. And that's what's really helped the growth of GCCs also.
Thank you, sir. One last question to both of you. For all the stakeholders, one piece of advice, what to do and what not to do in the next decade.
I would think, become a positive thinker. A thinker, to me, is one who sees the invisible, feels the tangibles, and achieves the impossible. If you have this fundas philosophy, anything will. There's no way things will stop. We will all succeed together. Each one thinks that way, and each one works together. There's nothing to stop us.
Thank you, sir.
So I'm an optimist, and I feel that opportunity is huge for India. You have seen this many a time, right? The largest, fastest growing largest economy in the world, right? Within that, the GCC IT services, that's probably jewel in the crown for India. And anybody who is working in this industry, I believe, is lucky. But we need to also make sure that we need to make sure that there is no tarnishing of the brand, that we don't in any way hurt the industry. Similarly, we need to make sure that the opportunity is huge. So build the company step by step, brick by brick. There is huge profitability. It's a cash cow. The services business is a cash cow. So make sure that you build the business brick by brick. That's what we did at Infosys. It may take a little bit longer, but build the business properly, and you will actually create an institution. You will create an institution. It will be a long-term institution. And as individuals also, if you are in this industry, make sure that you are continuously learning. The speed is, very, very rapid, unprecedented. This requires us to actually take care of ourselves. What I mean by this is take care of your health. Because you can't run fast without a healthy body, healthy mind. And that's what is required in this industry. The pressures are going to be huge. You will require family support. You will require all of those things. You know, a lot of things you take for granted, then only you can run fast. So you have to make sure that, you know, you think of all these things at the individual level, at the company level, as an industry level, and as a country. If you do that, you know, the opportunity in India, in front of India, is huge. One simple thing I'll say, and then I'll conclude. You know, when US developed, they didn't worry about environment, they didn't worry about climate change, they burned fossil fuels like crazy. Imagine if India does that. So we are constrained to grow without using fossil fuels. We are constrained to grow in a take a difficult path. We are constrained to grow where we have 1.4 billion people to take along. So we have to think about inclusive growth. Our challenges are far greater than what a 20th century model was actually. But that's also the opportunity for us to reinvent everything and create new leadership. And that's what I believe we need to think about and work together to make indeed happen.